essentially represents the past year and a lot of the efforts that we embarked on, and a lot of statistics for each of the departments. So to me, the statistics kind of speak to the volume of work that we're doing in each of the program areas, and you can see all of those numbers. But then we also wanted to include, what exactly do those numbers mean? And in addition to volume, what is the impact on individuals? So keeping in mind that each one of those numbers represents an individual in our community, we also wanted to give some stories about some of the individuals that were impacted by our program. So in each of the program areas, you'll see a success story or a story of interest talking about how each of those customers was impacted by our programs. So hope you have the opportunity to look through those. I think I got them to everybody there in the front row, and we also have a few of them back here. We'll be sending those out widely around the community, both online and in hard copy form. If anybody wants additional copies or anything like that, we're happy to send those along as well. So first I wanted to introduce Sarah Fortner with Protective Services, and she's going to be talking about a few of the new programs that we have in Protective Services. And of course, as we continue to present, any questions that you guys have throughout the way, please let us know and we'll do our best to answer those. There. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is great to see everyone again. Thank you so much for sharing some of your morning with me this morning and letting me talk about a few new things that we're doing at Protective Services. So I'm going to share 2 new initiatives, and then I'm going to give an update on one that many of you probably already know about. So to kick things off, I'm just going to jump in by talking about the Child Protective Services Fellowship Program. So what is this? So this is an initiative that came out of Wood County, and it started last year. And Fairfield County is hoping to join this program. So this was created to address the workforce instability that many child welfare agencies are experiencing, not only in the state of Ohio, but across the nation. So this is a paid fellowship program that utilizes WIOA funding that pays student workers 20 hours a week at $15 an hour for a 2-semester commitment. So currently, there are 13 counties that are in the northwest region of the state that are all participating in this. And Wood County employs a recruiter, a student recruiter, who goes out to different colleges and universities throughout Ohio and shares about this program. And it is specifically targeted at juniors and seniors who are interested in pursuing a career in child welfare and that are focused in majors such as psychology, sociology, criminal justice, and family-related services. And so it doesn't necessarily focus on social work majors because there already is a program within colleges that supports that. That's the UPP program. And social work majors typically have a lot more requirements that they have standard throughout college and universities that they already have to meet. So that's why it focuses on those specific ones. So what does this program do? So it offers a hands-on experience for those interested in pursuing a career in child welfare by allowing them some pretty significant exposure, right? So they get to walk alongside workers, they get to go out on home visits, they get to do investigations, assessments, they learn interviewing skills. They go to court hearings, which is a big thing for a lot of people. That seems to, provoke a lot of nerves when interviewing for a position within child welfare. They also learn case documentation. They learn how to navigate our system where we have to document all of our information. And then they also learn local rules and policies. So it's really about taking students who are interested in pursuing this career and giving them upfront training before they ever graduate school so that when they come to child welfare, they already have a lot of those skills already in place. So as I have talked with Wood County multiple times and had conversations about our ability to join this program, the commitment to participate is pretty simple. It's all they're asking is that we sign a sub-grant agreement. that we include our HR in our hiring process, that we kind of follow what we already do, that we stick to model fidelity that they've already created and implemented, and that we provide them with statistics and reporting. So what are the benefits to this? I've already been able to get some feedback from some of the 13 counties that are participating who say that they have already had seniors who have graduated, gone through this program, and are already employed with their agencies. And what they're finding is that they hit the ground running. They're out in the field, they're getting a caseload. Many don't know that when you get hired into child welfare, the state requires that you have about 120 hours of training to really be able to get a feel and understand, what you're getting into. This program also allows for students to go through that training process already. They're able to take the state trainings, they're able to learn the skills. And so, that's one of the huge benefits. The other thing is what I commonly hear when we hire caseworkers is they start, we train them, they get out in the field, and they start working with families. And one of the first things they say is, wow, this is not what I thought child welfare is. I had no idea that this is what child welfare looked like. And so going through this process, it gives them that exact exposure. It allows us to see if they're a good fit for the work, and it gives them the opportunity to see, is this really what I want to do? So those are just some of the benefits. The other thing that I'm starting to hear as well, and I think one thing that we at JFS have heard through some of our exit interviews and just through even some of our kind of stay interviews that we're having within our departments is that people stay when they feel like they have the knowledge and skills to do the job. And this essentially does that. It gets them ready, it gets them prepared. So with our involvement in this, the hope is that we're going to retain additional workers. So our ability to join Wood County is dependent upon whether they receive some expansion funding. I am anxiously awaiting to hear from them. I'm very hopeful. I'm very excited about this. I think it's a great opportunity for our county to become involved in this. And so again, I'm kind of anxiously awaiting. I know that we locally, within JFS have had some conversations that if they were not to be successful in getting that funding, how could we then independently implement something? How could we really start to spearhead this as well at a more local level? So I will gladly give you guys updates as I hear more about that. Again, please keep your fingers crossed. We're hoping because with joining Wood County, we're able to tap into their recruitment, who will do recruitment at a local level for us. So that would be definitely a perk for us. But there will be more to come on that, and I will gladly keep you guys all updated.
When do you expect to hear? Sorry.
No.
When do you expect to hear?
Well, so I just checked in last week with Wood County, and they said that they have not heard anything yet, but they're hopeful in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I know you said the funding was coming from WIOA, but I was not clear if that is the same entity that is approving or denying the expansion.
It is. Yep.
And is that a regional WIOA?
It is. Yep. And so by signing that sub grant agreement, it would be allowing us to tap into their region funding. So we would essentially pay up front and then bill them, and they would reimburse us. So the expansion is within their region. Yes.
Understood. I have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
If I might. Rick, in terms of what this WIOA region is doing with this program, have you seen or heard anything about this that makes you curious about this type of program within our WIOA region?
So the state did a beta test up there and plans to expand it with those funds. So it's actually a special grant that they would be getting from the state using WIOA funds to be able to push this out. So instead of each WIOA region kind of applying, so I got familiar with it. It's a great idea. Lonnie and I and Corey all talked about it.
But it's designed to run through that thing.
It's designed to run through that, not through. That's what every area is doing.
Thank you. The other question I had, if I might, kind of staying on this program that you've mentioned, but every so often we have in recent years gotten an update, I think from Corey, regarding retention, recruitment, turnover kind of statistics, particularly with child welfare. And I'm curious if there's any new data on that at this point.
So I don't know that I've seen any new data recently, but what I think I can share is that we do continue to have some instability and some struggles. I know that county HR is working hard at looking at previous applicants to see if, can they drum up any of those previous ones that maybe didn't follow up with a phone call, or to explore if they may still be interested. But we are still experiencing a shortage. And I think the bigger concern for me is that we're not getting the applicants. We're not seeing resumes that meet the qualifications needed. And that's where we've really seen the slowdown for us. As far as the retention, we are, I think, doing a really good job at retaining our staff. I think that our staff recognize that this is a really great county to work for. The pay is very competitive. The benefits are wonderful. And I think that we've done a really good job at JFS to create a culture where we're supporting our workers because the work is very hard. And so how do we make, how do we make it less hard for them to be able to continue to stay in this field? And I know that JFS HR and then county HR are also talking about some different retention strategies as well, and also some recruitment strategies. Because again, that for me is the biggest concern right now is we're not seeing the applications come in.
So I want to ask a question, and if I don't ask the question correctly,
Yeah.
just answer it the way I should have asked it.
Okay. I'll try.
I think, let's say that CPS has a TO and a number of people that would be in the full TO. 74, or I don't even want to say whatever number that is in that TO.
Yeah.
Is there a number of slots that are empty in the TO right now? And if so, what would that number look like in relation to the whole number?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I have a full TO on any given day, I'm sitting at about 100 employees. And I would say right now I've got about 8 that are empty. But the problem is those 8 are, the majority of those are all within my intake and assessment unit. So those spots are the ones that initially get the reports assigned to them and respond immediately to the community. When I have that many vacancies in that area, that's where it hurts, right? Because I don't have enough people to respond to the immediate needs of our community. And so waiting in the wing, we have our caseworker and training program. The goal there is to always have those positions filled. So we always, kind of like a concept like this Child Protective Services Fellowship Program, we always have someone who's willing to support, who's willing to assist. But again, without having the applications there, I can't get those spots filled either. So when I'm really looking at my true vacancies, I'm sitting at about 8 right now. But again, those are all within that intake unit.
So I want to say to Anya, if you all wouldn't mind, give me an administrative meeting at some point to dive a little deeper into this. Nothing negative.
Yeah.
I'm curious, but we may have people in attendance here today who aren't as curious as I am about this issue.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of that. So if we could do that, I would appreciate that.
And we do continue to track that in the information that you were talking about in terms of retention rate and turnover rate. We do continue to track that so we can do any period of time that we want to look at.
So at the end of 22, the turnover rate, particularly for protective services, was 27%. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've got the history here. There were a number of years that matched that figure.
Sure.
COVID was the anomaly for
Yeah.
us. Folks didn't leave, but unfortunately, that is a little bit higher, and overall agency-wide, it was a little bit higher at 24%. But state funding for retention and recruitment efforts, I think it became very clear to all of us that money is not the end-all be-all, specifically with protective services. They're very tough and difficult jobs, and I think you can easily get overwhelmed. And Sarah and I have chatted about this, ways to slowly introduce these things to folks and get them a higher level of comfort. And this program is one of those options that helps helps underscore that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and one of the biggest perks that I see of this is, if you have a 2-semester commitment from a student, that's 2 semesters worth of support that I can give my current workers to alleviate some of the stress and burden of the job. And if at the end of this they wouldn't choose to stay, I still got 2 semesters worth of support to my current workers, who I think really truly can benefit and need it. So.
And as I look at the 2022 turnover data, they also look at what the average tenure for folks that have departed.
Yeah.
And there's a couple retirement anomalies
Yep.
in here, but you're usually around the 1 year, a little over a 1.5 year mark where folks are like, uncle, I
Yeah.
can't do this.
Yeah, that's
So-
when they're like, this is not what I thought this was going to be.
So 2 semesters is huge.
Yes, absolutely.
To that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. All right. So next up, Team Ohio. So Team Ohio is Taking Early Action Matters Ohio. So this is an online reporting portal that has been developed by the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services as a means to provide Ohio with another way to report concerns of abuse or neglect within child welfare. So this is still in the development process, and currently Fairfield, Franklin, Stark, and Summit will all be piloting this. Signing up to this, our commitment then was find a mandated reporter agency within your community that can also be a pilot for this. So Franklin County had reached out to Nationwide Children's Hospital and recruited them. I wanted to offer a different perspective, so I reached out to Lancaster City Schools, the elementaries, and asked them if they would be interested in piloting this with us, because I wanted to offer that education perspective. Needless to say, they were all very excited, they're all on board, and they're very eager to start this. So we will all go through kind of an onboarding process. We will hope to get this started about mid-September. I'm trying to give them a little bit of breathing room as far as, getting school in session and getting that going. In the meantime, though, we are live and we will be able to receive reports from Nationwide, because they will also be able to just send them directly to us. So any mandated reporter that signs up for this pilot will be able to report to any county that's also piloting the program. So Team Ohio is the hope, and the goal for ODJFS is that this is going to be live next year for all counties and for all community partners to utilize this. This will be for non-mandated and mandated reporters. So some of the benefits to this, this really has the opportunity to change the way child welfare agencies receive information. A lot of times now, because we are a contiguous county to Franklin, people will call Franklin County to make a report, and they will be told they have a 3-hour wait time. So then they start calling us to make the report in hopes that we'll get it to Franklin. So then that kind of clogs up our lines, and it's just kind of this vicious circle that goes, and many counties in Ohio experience this. So the hope is it's going to eliminate those long wait times. It's going to provide a more convenient way for reporters to report information, specifically our mandated reporters, doctors, teachers who have 5 minutes in between, classes or seeing a patient. So I do think this is going to be a huge benefit. And then for me, thinking long-term at the agency, I want to be able to monitor how does maybe our calls decrease and our online activity increase, and then how can I shift staff, right, to provide that support to the caseworkers who are going out in the home. So again, another initiative that we'll definitely keep you up to date on and let you know the progress. All right, so next, this is just a quick update. So the Quality Improvement Center Family-Centered Reunification Program that we are currently working with ODJFS. So just a quick refresher. I know that many of you were at the breakfast and you heard ODJFS as well as the parent partners get up and talk about this program. So this is a program who partners a parent who is currently involved with our agency with a parent who has lived experience. And when we first talked about this in April, we were very new to this. We had only referred a few families, and we're just starting to really see how the program was going to work. And so now, today, what I really just want to update all of you on is that programs that are partnering a parent with someone with lived experience, we're seeing that they work really well, right? So the benefits to this is we are seeing parents engage earlier with us. They seem to have a better understanding because they have that advocate kind of walking through this with them to provide support, to provide information, and to really share information through a lens that they can understand. We're seeing quicker resource linkage to families because we as caseworkers, we also then have that additional support. So families are getting linked to things quicker. They're, working towards reunification efforts quicker. So it's really been so nice to kind of watch this program unfold. And the biggest thing I think for me is we're starting to hear not only our workers, but our families use words like, I feel hopeful, I feel supported, and I actually feel inspired to get to a place where I can fully support my family. So that's just a quick update. I know that many of you kind of walked away from that breakfast really enjoying that presentation and hearing those stories. So we are seeing the benefits to it, and we are, we will be involved in this for a few more years and are hopeful to kind of see how we can just really bring this into our practice. And so that is all I had for you this morning. Thank you so much for, giving me a few minutes to talk through. I'm hopeful that you guys were excited and kind of encouraged to hear what we're working towards. I'm always looking at different opportunities to improve our practice and then support our families in this community in the best way. So thank you again. And I'd be happy to answer any additional questions that you guys may have.
I know I've already asked for that administrative update to get a little deeper on this, but just while we're here, when the intake TO is, I'll just say decimated, that's probably the wrong word. What's the stopgap measure in that situation?
So whenever we get to a place where, I'm running on fumes, right, within that unit, we have several different protocols that we put into place. So when we get to a place where, I'm operating at half capacity, right? So if I'm looking at about 7, I have full 7 workers. We then go into kind of an emergency overflow protocol. And that then starts shifting work and workers to fill those gaps, which then, as you can imagine, kind of creates this avalanche effect that then, they're being pulled from, let's say, screening, so taking those phone calls. So then we have longer wait times. We have callers that have to sit longer to report. We're also then shifting workers who should be doing work like family finding, or even sometimes ongoing work. We're pulling them and we're plugging those individuals into that work as well, to assure, because that's the immediate we have to go out and immediately respond to those cases. So it's this avalanche effect. There's a delay in service. There's a delay in response to our community. We can't do a lot of these things that, I have to pause on implementing a new pilot. I have to pause on doing this new sort of practice that makes our community stronger. So that's kind of, what we see happening.
The other outcomes is those folks that are having that increased caseload, their burnout
Yes,
goes through the city.
absolutely.
And the stress and the pressure they're under. So it's this vicious cycle that we are always trying to find our way out of.
Yeah. And that's, again, why I get so excited about that fellowship program. Just the concept of that. I'm like, shoot, why didn't I think of that?
I'll see if my colleagues have any questions at this point.
So I'd like to, that fellowship programs, like having a JV team, right?
Yeah, that is a really good way to put it. Yes.
So being prepared, because, you do have that turnover rate, because it's a very difficult occupation.
It is.
But even through it all, you guys do such a terrific job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Beck.
On a macro level, you're impressive. And appreciate the work that you and your team are doing. I can only imagine how incredibly hard it is. And the idea that you're exploring new opportunities to provide better service and do it more efficiently and effectively is what we're all about here. So thank you for that. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. And I think I am going to hand it over to Krista.
Ladies, there's still some seats over with our fine officer from the sheriff's office. You'd like to.
Keep an eye on it.
Sir, if you'd keep an extra eye on them.
All right, I will try to move fairly quickly to be aware of the time. Let's see, I am going to talk a little bit today about a few things in community services that we have going on right now. One of the big things is our return to routine operations for Medicaid. The state has coined that a few different terms: return to normal, unwinding, whatever you want to call it. This is due to going back to regular operations after the pandemic. So this will be the first time in 3 years that we could close people's Medicaid because of that time period. So the first round of closures, we started running cases in April, and the first round started in May. So the one thing that we hear from all of our providers, the community, is how can we help keep people that are eligible for Medicaid on Medicaid? So the big thing that anybody can do is update their contact information with us. 3 years is a long time to not have to update your address or your phone number. And a lot of our population change that pretty regularly. So at any point, anybody can call in, just call us, make sure we have the correct address, phone number. The state is doing a lot of text, phone call communications, reminders to get your paperwork in, to make sure you follow up with us. So that's the biggest thing the community can do to help, is just be watching their mail, kind of paying attention to that. So we want to make sure that anybody that's still eligible is completing the paperwork and following up with us. Here's some numbers, and I think we've talked a little bit about this before. At the beginning of this year, we were seeing an increase, kind of a continual for Medicaid recipients. And then May, you can kind of see there, that was the first month that we could close. So you can kind of see a decrease every month in people that are eligible for Medicaid. Now, Medicaid works a little different. It's not like those people are closing, and we're seeing that number, but we're also having new people come on Medicaid at that time. So if you're doing the math there, it may not come out exactly right because new people come while other people are exiting. The August number looks a little high. That's because we're not through the month yet, so we're still processing applications. So that number should come down a little bit for people losing coverage for this month.
Question on the numbers
Yeah.
you have there.
Sure.
I see the February number in January, and then of course the August number.
Yeah.
Do we have any just ballpark number of people that are, I'm assuming that's people on Medicaid,
Yep, yeah, recipients.
what that number would have looked like, say, for example, in a kind of a 2019 average number? Can you ballpark me on that? Anybody?
For the August number compared to 2019.
I'm just saying, like 2019 probably had an average number of people, recipients.
We did run those numbers for the last, I think, like 8 years or something prior to this. We do have those numbers. I don't have them with me.
That's fine. I guess what I was getting to on that, in a sense of the form of the question, was, were we peaking in March and April? Is that like the highest number we'd ever seen?
Right. So when you look at that, it continued to grow throughout that whole 3-year period because nobody could come off, but people could come on. So it grew. And so the peak was that April number because that was the last month that nobody could come off. And then you start to see the decrease from there as people lost eligibility.
So would it be fair to say that it would be sometime in 2024 before we kind of figure out where we are?
It's approximately a year or exactly a year. So it'll be around May of 24 would be kind of the bottom, I guess. Now, that's assuming that nothing else happens to impact.
I understand unemployment rate because
Right.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah, that's so we should be back. So every month, there's a certain number of people that have to recertify. So we will get there May of next year. So we'll be working through those applications. So we'll be able to kind of see at the end of that what our number is and compare that to what it was pre-pandemic. Next, I want to switch topics a little bit and move over to the Benefit Bridge program. And I've been here a couple times to kind of talk a little bit about that. That's our program that bridges that gap when people lose public assistance from employment. So we talked before about that benefit cliff, and this is the program that is built to kind of support those participants. We started this as a pilot project in 2020, and the state had kind of given us the freedom to kind of choose our own population, work the program kind of how we wanted. This year in July, they have put some regulations about kind of the standard program. So some of the ways you can get approved as eligible for this program now is due to earned income. You could, if you have a decrease in SNAP benefits or you lose SNAP benefits completely, you could be eligible to participate. Same kind of along that, if you are receiving public assist or public childcare, you could see a decrease or a reduction completely or an increase of your copay and be eligible. And this third one is a new one for us. That wasn't part of our criteria before, but this one allows somebody that is actually unemployed but involved in a WIOA program. So they're in some type of short-term training. So under kind of 4 months, we could connect with them, let them in the program, and then offer supports after that training is complete to be involved in our program. So that's a new one for us. So we're excited about that. Let's see. Currently, we have 28 participants. 27 of those customers are employed. We have 20 people that completed a 5-week course through the Health Path Financial Coaching. We are working closely with OSU Extension for budgeting, and we're really kind of taking a focus on increasing people's credit scores. And then, so this year, we are increasing our numbers to 40 participants in the program. We have new guidelines, some new funding, and then we are going to hire an additional case manager for that program. So we actually have that position posted now. So I'm looking forward to filling that and getting kind of the caseload up and running.
Is 28, like, are you maxed out at 28? You really
Currently.
maxed out at 40? Is there a waiting list or how does that?
Yes, currently we are at 28 because we had one caseworker. The max for the state that we're supposed to carry is a 20-person caseload. So we've had some staffing changes. So actually both of our positions for Benefit Bridge are open and posted. So we're looking to fill those and then add. We do have a kind of a waiting list of holding out, waiting to get in. So we're
And how
hoping
many
to start
people you think are on that waiting list?
10 currently. But I think we can definitely get that increase. So once we get everybody up and running and trained.
Thank you.
Questions?
I think we got them out.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
He's the see if Director Park has any.
I would just say, a lot of information that we presented today and a couple of things to follow up on with questions that you asked. But if you have any others, we would be happy to get you information on that, meet at your convenience, whatever works for you to get you any additional information that you might be interested in.
On behalf of the commissioners, I would just want you all to know that our questions and curiosities are meant in the most positive light. We are very appreciative of the work that you all are doing for the people you're doing it for. And I would hope that you would take our curiosity as a good sign, as opposed to a lack of interest in trying to be supportive too.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And then, Ani, we have an announcement that is also from Job and Family Services.
Yes, Miss Tiffany Wilson. Tiffany, if you don't mind standing. Tiffany has been a member of Family and Children First Council for a while now, and she's recently been promoted to the manager position. So congratulations, Tiffany. And so we did a little reorganization with council. The commissioners still remain the administrative agent, but the supervision and oversight is being provided by Job and Family Services, and specifically Miss Heather O'Keefe. So thank you, Heather. And Josh is also Crawford there. The fiscal team is being very helpful to council and starting kind of a new path forward. So very excited for that. Anything you want to share, Tiffany?
Well, I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I'm thankful for Heather and Josh too. It's been a wonderful partnership. They've been great to work with, so I do feel like we've been set up for success, and I look forward to that in the future. So thank you, JFS and the Commissioner's Office.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Tiffany. Also, not with Job and Family Services, but I think in many ways serving a similar population set. We have with us today a couple of representatives from United Way, including the new executive director. Did I get that term right? Christine, please, why don't you come down and say a few words and introduce yourself? And Emily, you're welcome to join her. Emily is also with you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Christine Stemen, and I'm currently in week 3 as the new CEO of United Way of Fairfield County, and I'm just happy to be here. It's exciting. It's been quite a learning experience, and we are just knee-deep in preparing for campaign, and so I'm quite busy. So I'm sure after we get through this campaign and we meet our goal, then I can get down to some meats and potatoes with the organization and learn more of the platforms, but I'm so excited to be there. I really want to thank you guys today because of your help and your recent donation. We were able last month to add 300 children to Dolly's Imagination, bringing our total to 5,246. So there's 56 of the eligible children for this program now being served by Dolly's Imagination. They're all receiving books every month. 56%, sorry. Yeah, so really that could not have been achieved here recently without your support. We appreciate your support for Dolly's and United Way, and we're looking forward to future endeavors and a partnership. So I really appreciate that. Anything else you want to mention, Emily? We're working knee deep in campaign and community care day. So I'm sure I will see a lot of you there that day at the kickoff breakfast and out working our many projects that we're.
I would actually like to take a moment and thank all the county employees. You guys are the largest volunteering group that we have for Community Care Day. Right now, you have garnered about 80 volunteers. So 80 county volunteers will be out and about within the community volunteering that day. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you with us today. We're excited for your new opportunity, and we're also excited for your predecessor and for new endeavors. I think the commissioners all look favorably on United Way, as we do many social service organizations. So I don't want to suggest that it's all you all the time.
Right.
There are some others we like too. But we thank you all very much for your work and look forward to working with you all and kind of getting United Way back on top.
Thank you so much. Yep. Carrie's done a great job of building a good foundation. I'm just looking forward to keeping it going.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We are going to have some remarks from Commissioner Fix, and then we will proceed to public comment. Commissioner Fix.
Thank you. So I don't do Facebook or social media. I haven't done it for about 1.5 years now, maybe longer. But I hear about it when things are out there. I get emails, I get phone calls questioning why am I doing this or doing that because it's out there on Facebook. And so, it's easy to have misinformation or disinformation out there that If you let it sit, that becomes the truth, right? And if you don't provide facts to dispute some of the things that are out there, then what's out there is taken as the truth. So I wanted to provide some facts about our land use and economic development plan, because it's important that people understand what the facts are, so that they can address our plan as it is, not as it's perceived to be out in social media. So let me start with why we're doing an update to our plan. The very short version is the trustees, township trustees from across Fairfield County and village mayors asked us to. The longer answer is in a video that I did that we're going to repost on our county website. But the gist of it is that growth is coming to Fairfield County and we cannot stop it. And if we don't plan for it, it will run us over, and that will be a bad place for us to be. I live in Violet Township, in the city of Pickerington. And Violet Township and Pickerington were so busy picking at each other for 20, 30, 40 years that there was no plan. And as a result, if you've ever tried to go from Refugee Road on Route 256 to I-70 on 256, I hope you plan for plenty of time because it takes forever. Likewise, if you're going out Refugee Road towards Pickerington North High School into town, there was no real plan between Violet Township and the city of Pickerington, and as a result, it's a hodgepodge and it's a mess. And that's not the way that anybody really wants development to happen. So we thought, at the request of the township trustees and the village mayors who don't have unlimited resources to create each of their own plans, that we as a county could update our plan that they could then choose to or not to take from to update their land use plans. It's responsible government to plan, right? If nobody plans for anything, then stuff just happens and you're left with the results. And that's not thoughtful and it's not responsible. So I think what we're doing is responsible, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people in other parts of Central Ohio who see what we're doing and who believe that we're ahead of the game by doing this. For example, Kenny McDonald, I think most of you have heard that name, is the economic development leader in Central Ohio, has been for 10 or 12 years, and has transformed the Central Ohio region into the powerhouse that it has become. At an event last week, we had a chance to talk on the side, and he gave us as a county a great compliment for doing this kind of plan and having this kind of forethought. That's why. What is it? It's a plan that townships and villages can use. The county does not set zoning. Townships and villages do. And let me say that again to be really clear. The county does not set zoning. Townships and villages do. This plan is created by experts in conjunction with villages, townships, and concerned citizens. It does not change a landowner's ability or right to do whatever zoning allows with their land. If they want to sell their land, if they want to lease their land, as long as it's within the zoning, they have the ability to do that or not do that as they see fit. It's a plan that those townships and villages can pull from to update their land use plans if they choose to. Who's been involved with it? The Regional Planning Commission, the County Commissioners, the Soil and Water Conservation District, the Parks Department, the Farm Bureau, every township and every village. We've had public town halls, 2 of them, one in February, one in March. We have an open house going on out here right now where any citizen from Fairfield County can come in and take their time and review the plan and give comments to it. We've had a steering committee of 36 members of both public and private, right? So every township and every village was invited to participate in the steering committee. Many of them have done so. Other groups, other individuals have asked to and have been included in our steering committee. They've had 4 meetings over 6 months to help move this along. This process started in October of last year, October 1st of last year, and will conclude in September with the Regional Planning Commission's vote. Planning Next has been engaged to do the work with us. Planning Next is one of the most respected planning organizations in the country. They do work all over the U.S., and I think we were fortunate to get them to participate with us in this program. Unfortunately, social media doesn't talk about all of that. There's rumors out there that the county commissioners are going to provide financial incentives to the townships to adopt this plan. It's not true. We don't have the ability to do that. We don't have the desire to do that. This is an opportunity for the townships and villages to do their thing, not for us to impose or incentivize. There are no benefits to the commissioners from getting this plan done. There is no plan for a connector. Our county engineer is here. He said it dozens of times, and I've said it dozens of times. We have a corridor that we think would make sense, and that's reflected on the map. But there is no design. There is no road that's been picked out. There is no funding, and that's the most important part. It's a $200 to $300 million project, and those of you who know government know that $200 to $300 million isn't just laying around waiting for somebody to spend it. So it may be sometime, will likely be sometime if it ever happens. Is there a cause for it? Absolutely. It would be of tremendous benefit to Fairfield County to have a connection between Route 33 and Route 70, not only from a traffic standpoint, but from an economic development standpoint. So I'm hopeful that that will happen, but anybody who says that they know where it's going to be or someone knows where it's going to be is either lying or misinformed. We don't have that figured out. So I guess I just wanted to provide some information. I doubt that this will make Facebook, but for those of you who are here who read those things and see those things and send me those emails, some of them nasty, most of them misinformed, or who call, I'm happy to talk to anybody. Happy to have a call with anybody anytime to talk about why we're doing this and why it's important and why it's responsible and why those who want to fight it or think that we're doing it for our own personal benefit, be happy to have that conversation with anybody anytime. Thank you.
I'm the commissioner said, it's not an opportunity for taxpayers to address the commission. If I could do so, please begin by stating your name, residence, or address. We do have a 3-minute time limit. As you get to your 3 minutes, I'll ask you to conclude your remarks. We do have other items on our schedule today. I will be enforcing the 3-minute. We also ask that your comments be directed to the commissioners, not to other members of the audience. We want everybody to feel safe in the space to communicate and to be here. Sir.
My name is Ray Stemen. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. One thing that I am concerned about, and always it seems, being in the education field, and I started back in the 50s to teach, and the change that I've seen in the results of education hasn't been good. And I blame it on 2 reasons. One, we formed teachers' organizations, OEA, NEA, and so forth. And locally, they tried to do some good things, but it's been taken over on the national level. And the NEA, in my estimation, is strictly on the level of Communist Manifesto. And I'd like to see this change. Now, that's the danger of things coming down from Washington, D.C., and this be a point too. The Chinese military have developed, and this just came out 2 days ago, developed laser weapons capable of firing indefinitely. And I've seen pictures on the computer, whether it's true or not, I'm not sure. But where buildings and automobiles have been destroyed, but trees remain vital. And researchers claim that this technology breakthrough could change the face of battle in Chinese favor. Consequently, this spells a crisis for us now in this country, with our military very unable to fight a war. Biden regime is trying to spend $1.2 billion to vacuum carbon dioxide from the air. If that is not a crazy thing to try to do, because our atmosphere and everything has been the best in the United States it's ever been, really, people have said. And to vacuum carbon dioxide from the air, which is needed by plants, to in turn give us oxygen back, according to biology programs that I had in high school. So I would like to say that this falls in the area of solar panels too. Now, with this being true, I'd like to offer a prayer, because we need God in this country right now. And the only way is for we the people to turn back to God, not their leaders, the people. So, Lord, as we come before you this morning, we pray that we in this room will turn our hearts and our souls back to you, as our forefathers did when they started this country 250 some years ago. And we pray, Lord, that you guide and direct people individually, and that we would turn back to you for that direction. And we pray now in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I also would like to address the commission at this time.
Frank.
Good morning. My name is Frank Anderson, and I've lived at 4609 Refugee Road for 22 years now. And Commissioner Fix has already kind of addressed one of my comments, but to get to my 3 minutes in, I got to just read through these. The draft future land use plan available for public comment through today shows a very wide growth corridor, which clearly includes my residence and dozens of my neighbors. Where we now live is by default an area of suburban residential due to the uncontrolled lot splitting over many decades. Within this light blue shaded area, there's no labeling of roads. Could a more detailed map be provided to aid my neighbors in locating their residential properties? How does this land use plan compare to a zoning plan? Number 3, the only way my wife and I discovered this draft plan was due to some Facebook comments of August 10th, 2 days after the 5 weekdays comment period had begun. All of my neighbors to whom I've spoken to recently do not subscribe to the Lancaster Eagle Gazette, and I'm told there was no mention of this draft plan or comment period in the township meeting notes. Have the Liberty Township trustees been kept updated? Apparently, one Liberty Township trustee, Keller, was advised at some point and made Facebook comments August 10th, and a second trustee, Alt, did so August 11th. The third township trustee, Kemmerer, I've observed is on the steering committee for this land use plan, but has not made comment. Perhaps he doesn't use Facebook. We're steering committee members directed not to comment or advise the residents. The comments by Robert Alt, trustee, on August 11th say a 250 comment threshold is needed to slow this process down and actually allow time for comment of residents. I have not been able to confirm the 250 comment threshold. Can this be clarified? One rumor is also that a petition process could allow for better chance for citizens to be aware of this proposal or make comments. Will residents be notified of this option? At the February 27th Liberty Township meeting at the VFW open house, there was a standing room only crowd with a lot of public concerns raised, with key concern at that meeting be the proposal of a road connector corridor. However, County Engineer Up stated their corridor route had not been fixed with no funding available. Some stated the connector road was a dream not likely to be built in the attendee's lifetime. Has funding arrived or a road corridor now been settled? Does this growth corridor take in all the possible road alignments between 33 and I-70? Several citizens have noted the current and ongoing development at I-70 and State Route 310, and that a connection to I-70 elsewhere might be better on property issues. What other growth corridor alignments have been considered by the steering committee? And will and can the Liberty Township residents be advised of the other options considered? Basically, the problem is that several of the neighbors I've talked to just feel like we didn't know this was coming. They didn't get the Lancaster Gazette until there was something on Facebook, which I don't get myself. No one knew about this 1 week comment period. So just felt like there could have been better communications, and obviously myself and my neighbors were opposed to being part of a growth corridor. Kind of like when a physician that you don't know says you might have cancer, and then you're trying to get underwritten for insurance.
Please complete.
Okay, that's my conclusion, and I did make a copy of my comments for the three commissioners, and I have included a copy of what Mr. Alt's Facebook comment was.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
I'd really like to get through public comment, Commissioner.
Yeah. So
I don't want to create a back and forth.
right. All I want to do is offer to meet with Frank after this meeting and go through all of his questions. That's all.
I'll say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission at this time?
Sherry Pymer, 3464 South Bank Road, Millersport. I'm actually in the township. My husband and I printed off all 110 pages and had 11 by 17 maps printed out, which there are 14 pages of, but I think there are only a couple maps out there that are actually included out there, but there actually were 14 maps. I read an article in the Gazette, because I get it online, concerning the development and the lack of land, the inventory of land availability, and Mr. Zabrak, I worked on getting your name right. In that article, made a comment about how, little land that there is available, that people aren't wanting to sell land. They're waiting for basically, a bigger payday. But a lot of projects take, 30, 40, 50 acres. And some of the bigger projects are like 100 acres, 200 acres and more. If you do not address solar, because right now we are being inundated throughout the county by the solar companies coming in, and Ohio, I've said this before, is at the bottom of the list for solar efficiency, but they're being paid by the government. If we do not address solar in this plan, you have no plan, because right now there are thousands and thousands and thousands of acres already signed up that you have on your plan as residential, employment areas, industrial areas. So if solar is not addressed, those areas out there are basically up in the air, because thousands of acres are being taken up. And so we need exclusionary zones in our county specifically for solar, and because it doesn't have to be rezoned. That's the problem, is it doesn't have to be rezoned in order to put thousands and thousands of acres of farmland into solar fields that produce, when it's all over, it ends up with maybe 2 or 3 jobs. How many employers could you put in 4,000 acres? How many homes could you put in 4,000 acres? That's my comment.
Thank you. like to address the commission at this time.
Judy Stemen, 2444 West Point Road. And thank you. First of all, it was nice at last week's meeting that you had a mic and each one of you could be heard. I've been asking and inquiring, why can't we have these mics that are portable? And I know they have them at school board meetings. I've been asking for quite a while, so please consider that. Next, we were shocked when we learned that county citizens had only Friday, Monday, and today to voice their opinions. We were even more shocked at the small card to voice our opinion. No place for name, address, etc. So how are we to know that and believe that this was an honest or is going to be an honest tally? Big corporations are coming in and becoming the government. Big corporations and small government control behavior of the public. In fact, you try to force behavior. Just look at the 3 minutes on any person's viewpoint and facts. Makes one doubt that you truly want any opinions other than your own. Oh, we can't ask questions and expect an answer the same day. Actually, we don't get answers except when you want to get them. I haven't had any answers to any of my questions concerning COVID in this county. I guess we, the people, don't deserve any answers. And I've been asking those questions for over 2 years. It's not freedom when we're directed to always keep looking at you. If this isn't dictatorial, I don't know what you would call it. It isn't freedom. And you three don't always look at us. Frankly, I want to turn to other people because I know that all persons behind me do not hear when I project my voice to the front only. With things happening as they are, where do we, the majority, rule anymore? Big Corp and Gov knows how to force behavior. I have questions. So what is your fear in allowing open discussion, answering questions even 1 or 2 weeks later, giving information in non-coded manners, having truly honest elections? One final point and question. It's obvious you have been trying to outmaneuver the farmers. I'm sad to say that. So the question is, how many persons do you want to see die of starvation and or lack of finances to maintain health? And COVID is another subject altogether. Okay, a bombshell. Senator Ron Johnson says COVID intentionally released by elite group of people who want to take total control of our lives. This was all pre-planned by an elite group of people, he said. So many people simply don't want to admit that they were wrong, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure they're not proven wrong. We're up against a very powerful group of people here. I thank you.
Connie Spillman, 7255 Coon Path Road. I guess I'm supposed to address the commissioners, and I'll address Mr. Fix because he seemed to be speaking of regional planning a lot. most people have never studied or read about regional planning, so they really don't understand the source of it. But I read about it extensively several decades ago, and it's bad. And it comes from much, much higher up. And people, mayors, township trustees, county commissioners, and on up the line, they all get together in confabs and they're given their marching orders. This stuff doesn't come locally from the local people. It comes from the orders that they are given when they go to these meetings and have powwows, etc. So all of the stuff that goes on, they don't want what we want. They don't listen to what we want. They can know without us ever speaking by the signs that are all around in the area, such as down around Chillicothe. And look at the horrible fields of solar panels down around there. And it isn't bad enough, evidently, that we have all of these horrible, giant warehouse buildings being put everywhere. But now they're going to besmirch the area with solar panels. But again, they do not listen to us because they take their orders from higher up. And I will say that it's attributed to Thomas Jefferson that when the government fears the people, there's freedom, liberty. But when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. And that came to mind when I saw that you had to have a cop here.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission at this time? On behalf of the commission, we do thank you all for coming. Steven, anything on legal?
Nothing new.
Administration update.
All right, American Rescue Plan update from the 30.6 received, 28.6 has been appropriated, 15.1 expended, and 4.6 encumbered or obligated. We do have a slide, I think, that will highlight a number of grants that our emergency management department has received. Yeah, minutes pulling that up. John, you want to speak to any of these?
Well, we talked a little bit about Firehouse in the past, and I mentioned last week about South Central, and then as soon as I mentioned that, we got back to the office to find out we received a $12,000 training grant. So within a month, this all came to kind of conclusion on the Firehouse, and then those two new ones being awarded all at once. So South Central, we're focusing on battery containment, batteries that have issues, whether it be a fire, something that to just safely dispose of the lithium-ion batteries, and then our PUCO hazard material training grant is focusing on batteries, incident command, hazmat issues. So just a really good month for us, and appreciate the staff for doing that and really taking all of the responsibility and credit for it, because I didn't have much on this one, on any of these.
For writing the grants, I know a lot of time effort energy goes into that, and glad we were able to see some good outcomes.
Commissioner Bonnison.
So I think it's interesting, Firehouse subs. I saw their sign. I've seen their advertising. I go, how much are they going to give? That's a pretty sizable amount of money.
It is, and I know that there's other grants that are being applied for now from other response organizations, and they're really a great organization in the public safety world for grants.
All right, moving on. August 15th, next week, the meeting will be, I'm sorry, not 15th, that's today. Next week, the 22nd, we will have our meeting at the Wigwam. That will be prior to the State of the County meeting, which will begin at 11 o'clock. So next week's meeting is at the Wigwam Event Center and will begin at 9 a.m. We will not be meeting here. And as I mentioned, following that at 11 o'clock will be the State of the County event, with doors opening at 11 and lunch beginning to be served at 11:30. Highlights of resolutions. The review packet does contain a list of administrative approvals, and there are 18 resolutions on the agenda for the voting meeting today. We have one resolution accepting the rates for the tax levies as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. A resolution authorizing the establishment of a new capital project fund for the Workforce Center projects, which is so this is the money that we're receiving from the state of Ohio specific for that. And I did, while we were here, get a text from the Chancellor of Higher Education, so I'll be reaching out to him following this meeting. I'm anticipating he has conversations about the MOU that we will be developing. Also have a resolution authorizing an MOU among Fairfield County, City of Canal Winchester, Fairfield County Transportation Improvement District, Fairfield County Port Authority, and Violet Townships for improvements to Basel Western Road. Rick, you want to share anything on that one?
Yeah, Basel Western spans both Violet Township and Canal Winchester, and the road is partially in County Road, partially Canal Winchester Road. So this MOU just puts us all on the same page and make sure that development happens in Violet Township or Canal Winchester. Developers are going to be the ones that are paying for these road improvements.
Thank you to Rick. I know the prosecutor's office, Jeremiah. Gosh, who else should I be giving credit to, Rick, for their help with bringing this about? Been a collaborative and timely project. Then lastly, a resolution to establish a drainage maintenance district for the estates at Lake Forest subdivision and Violet Township. And why we're speaking about drainage maintenance districts, just want to share appreciation to Bart. He's working with the auditor office as well as the engineer's office on getting those assessments updated and ready for submission. So thank you, Bart.
Thank you, Bart.
Moving on to Bart, budget review.
I just wanted to remind everyone that the level 3 budget entry access ends on August 28th. And to please reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you. Rochelle, calendar review and invitations received, please.
The 2023 CCAO Summer Symposium will be August 16th through the 18th at the Cherry Valley Hotel at 2299 Cherry Valley Road in Newark. The Governor's Executive Workforce Board meeting is August 17th at 10 a.m. at Nationwide Insurance located at 1 Nationwide Plaza in Columbus. The Family and Children First Council Executive Committee meeting is August 18th at 8 a.m. at the Fairfield County Agricultural Center at 831 College Avenue.
It's actually at 8:30.
I'm sorry, it is at 8:30. Yes, at 8:30 at 831 College Avenue. There will be an Elder Abuse Commission meeting on August 21st at 10 a.m. in the large boardroom of the State Library of Ohio, located at 274 East First Avenue in Columbus. Clear Sky Rehabilitation Hospital of Lancaster is having a groundbreaking event on August 23rd at 10 a.m. at 1201 River Valley Boulevard. The Fairfield County Farm Bureau annual meeting is August 31st. Registration begins at 6 p.m. It will be held at the Fairfield County Fairgrounds, Ricketts Hall, 157 East Fair Avenue. Fairfield Soil and Water Conservation District will be holding their 80th annual meeting on September 7th at 5:30 p.m. at the Fairfield County Agricultural Center. And there will be a map board project training titled Neuroscience for Hopeful Futures on September 20th at 9 a.m. at the Fairfield County Agricultural Center. The following correspondence was received: a press release from the Office of the County Auditor dated August 9th, entitled County Auditor's Office Releases Fact Sheets for November 2023 Election Property Tax Levy Issues. A memorandum from County Auditor Dr. Carrie Brown containing the following subjects: Top 10 Taxpayers, Real Estate Summit, Serving Those Who Have Served, and Revenue Update with Implications. The Fairfield County Auditor's Wins of the Week is included. A press release from the Fairfield County Health Department dated August 11th entitled Health Department Awarded $80,000 to Curb Opiate Overdose. Letters from residents regarding solar projects. A draft permit from the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency for Service Solutions. The August 2023 Fairfield Soil and Water Conservation District's newsletter titled Fairfield Features, and the Summer 2023 County Commissioners Association of Ohio magazine titled County Leader. That is it.
Thank you, Rochelle. That's all I have, Commissioner.
Well, I want to touch on a couple of things, and I've mentioned this in prior meetings, but the largest department in our general fund is our sheriff's office. It's by far the highest priority expenditure that we make in the general fund. And we do have a representative from the sheriff's office in our meetings. And I appreciate them being with us to ensure the safety of both staff that are here and the folks who are in attendance. You know, one thing we commissioners don't do is talk about some things that are untoward or challenging situations that we may be aware of, and we don't talk about them. Just to give you an example, Not that many years ago, a citizen had threatened to kill me. And I didn't know about it until an officer showed up in my office and said he had orders to be next to me until the suspect had been apprehended. And I said, what about my family? And he said, officers are en route to your children at school, to your wife's place of employment. So I understand if people think that it's some sort of message or some sort of thing that we're doing to mess with people or something like that, but my gosh, it's not. And we've all seen evidence and indications of places and situations where everybody thought they were safe and nobody was paying attention. We're paying attention. And, you know, I mentioned the one situation, there's several others I'm not going to get into, but there's a reason for what we're doing, and it's not to keep people quiet. It's to keep people safe. And we do appreciate you all being here. Every time we say that, we mean it. Just touching on one other issue that was brought up earlier, Mr. Anderson, it's good to see you again. I appreciate you being with us. As far as that 250 thing, I mean, that could be an opinion, but I'm not aware of any factual basis for it. No, I mean, it's just lots of opinions, and that's good. I'm not denigrating opinions. I'm just saying that's probably an opinion that I'm not aware of any factual basis for it. We're still under old business. Any questions, comments, or concerns from Commissioner Levesey under old business?
I don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Fix?
No, thank you.
New business. I do have some new business. I was thrilled to represent the Commissioner's office last night at the meeting of the Lancaster City Council. County Administrator Portal was with me for that presentation that they gave me an opportunity to make there. And they introduced a resolution at City Council last night to authorize the county to be the grant recipient for Lancaster Fairfield Transit. And they introduced a resolution of intent to transfer transit operations from the city of Lancaster to the county effective July 1st of 2024. There are lots of discussions that need to be had between county administration and city administration before that transfer could and would be effectuated. And I don't want to get us way off schedule today with a long explanation of things other than to say this. As things stand right now, the City of Lancaster Department is primarily providing transit services to the City of Lancaster and does have a route that goes outside the city, but they're not providing transit services to the entire county. We believe it is important for all the low to moderate income areas throughout our county to perhaps have access to that service at some point in the future, and the City of Lancaster can't do it. So we're examining in detail and researching the prospect of transferring that service to a countywide basis. The research that we've been doing on that has been street level, over 400 conversations that I've personally had with people that have transit impediments at up to 30,000 feet with an ODOT suggested consultant who's analyzing all of those statistics and data from an historical standpoint and taking a look forward on that. But in any event, I just wanted to let my colleagues and the public know that I thought the meeting last night with Lancaster City Council went extremely well, and we will continue to have those discussions with the city administration to hopefully effectuate the transfer. And I did also just want to mention that process will be exceedingly difficult. There are a tremendous number of variables and a tremendous number of concepts to be thought about in that transfer process. And so I expect it to be extremely difficult. And I also am trying to keep my chin lifted up to look beyond the difficulty of that transition process into a future when folks who are in need of transit in our community, specifically hopefully to get to and from work. I look forward to it. So that's where we are on that. That's all I have on new business. Commissioner Lavasey under new business.
So, first of all, I'd like to thank Commissioner Davis for his work picking up that mantle on public transit. It's a big deal. It's something that, when I first became commissioner, I thought it a little odd that here we have the city of Lancaster going transit, and where Licking County was going all county, and we weren't. So again, I think this speaks very well of Commissioner Davis's work on looking forward and making it a better place for Fairfield County to live. On the second note, I'm a director on the governor's workforce board, and I'll have a meeting this Thursday. And one of the questions is kind of interesting, Greg. One of the questions we're going to address is how do we think we could enhance career pathway resources to reach more students and families? And then the second question is, what items are you most excited about in the state budget? I mean, it's almost like you drafted these questions. Is that correct?
It's always nice when you already have the answers to the questions before they're even written.
Right. Well, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fix under new business.
Just that I'll be attending the County Commissioners Association of Ohio summer meetings in and out over the next 3 days, and then participating in the board meeting on Friday, and happy to report back next week on how that all goes. I know Rick's presenting at some point during the CCAO. Pending. Okay. But yeah, it should be a good meeting, and I'll be happy to report back.
Well, I appreciate your work with the CCAO, and I don't know, today isn't the time to do it, but at some point in the future, I'm sure you could assemble a list of initiatives and opportunities that have been presented to Fairfield County in whole or in part as a result of your work with the CCAO. And so on behalf of the commissioners, we all thank you for that work.
Thank you.
We are pleased to have with us today Treasurer Bonson. How you doing?
Good morning. Very well. Thank you, Mr. President. Very quickly, we're in the process of signing up people with our escrow program. So those taxpayers who are not having their property taxes escrowed at their mortgage company and the mortgage company pay us, we offer a program at no charge that they can sign up. And what we do is, instead of having to write 2 checks a year for the first and second half of your taxes, that we go ahead and spread it out over 10 months. So for those that are concerned about budgeting, which we all look at, budget our expenses, this is a great way for taxpayers to go ahead and not have to worry about writing 2 big checks each year.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us today. We also have with us today County Engineer Jeremiah Up. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Commissioner Davis.
Anything you'd like to share, sir?
We're just busy working through our summertime paving projects, bridge projects, whatnot. Dealing with some turnover in employees, trying to prepare ourselves for winter time so we have enough snow plows to do a good job for the county. And moving the TID forward on projects such as Basel Western realignment and roundabouts.
The question that some of us have, you already know the question. How's that August 18th date looking out on Coon Path?
Tight. They were supposed to pave yesterday. It looks like they're going to pave tomorrow. It's just too bad, 2 days. So we're close to hitting that date. I'm still hopeful we can. If we don't, it won't be much longer.
Could you, if I may, to the audience, provide an update on the 3370 corridor?
Nice and loud.
The 3370 corridor is simply, as Mr. Fix put it, it's an idea based on, commerce, travel, and economic development of giving people a better route to get from I-33 to I-70 to 33 and back again. Right now, we've done absolutely no planning other than, said it kind of needs to go from here to here through Liberty Township. Don't know if that's even going to be rock solid. basis of this is nothing can be determined as far as where that alignment's going to go until environmental issues have been vetted and real estate right-of-way issues have been vetted. And those are two very, very big steps. We don't have any funding right now situated. We're not applying for funding currently to move forward with either one of those. Keeping the idea alive, watching what happens to economic development in the area and see if that spurs the need for something like that.
Interesting note on that. As I'm advised, I wasn't born yet. I was born in 1963, but I believe the concept of Lancaster bypass was first discussed and brought up in 1960, approximately 3 years before I was born. I believe it eventually got built. I want to say 2008 or 9 or 10, somewhere in there.
Part of it.
Seems like it took about 50 years from the time it began being discussed until it actually happened. I don't know if this would be on a similar timeline, but I expect it would be quite some time. We also have with us, and I'm going to say it right this time, County Recorder. Sometimes I give her your title. You never know. Lisa, how are you doing today? Good. Anything you'd like to share?
Our staff is almost there as far as completing their training processes. So when starting to feel really comfortable with servicing the public. And just an update, our property fraud alert is, we're getting lots of signups, getting a lot of phone calls. People are seeing home title look, advertisements on TV, or they're getting mailers. And we offer a free service to all of our constituents in Fairfield County who own real estate to help protect their real estate if something were to be filed within our office. So just trying to get as much information out right now on those opportunities and getting some new flyers and new banners ready to put up.
You know, speaking of that fraud alert, is my son, who's 24, my oldest son, just recently closed on his first starter house. It's a real modest house on Maple Avenue. And in his mailbox every day is some flyer or mail saying, urgent, you must call your bank right away, call this number, there's a problem with your mortgage, kind of thing. And so he contacts his lender, the actual person that he worked with in getting closed, and said, hey, I'm getting all this mail. It looks like it's from you, saying I got to do these things. Is there something wrong? There's nothing wrong at all. And he's just getting hammered with things like that. They're trying to trick him, I guess, into giving up information, or I don't even know what the end game is for those scams, but you're right to point it out and make people aware of it. Thank you for being with us today. Dr. Brown, how are you doing?
Thanks. How are you?
Good. Anything you'd like to share?
I'd like to say thanks to some community volunteership with the Community Health Center. They had an open house on Friday and very impressed with the building, very impressed. I know you've all been very supportive of their efforts. Extremely good services, very timely. I've used them myself twice since Friday and very impressive, and would like to just commend them for their efforts. In addition, on Friday, I had an opportunity to go to the Beavers Field for the retirement of the jersey for Al Beavers. And I thought that was a really tremendous way to say thank you to a community partner. Beavers Field is just a wonderful community asset and one that is little known. But once you're there, you really can see the beauty and the tourism that even comes from that particular effort. I'd also like to thank Carter Corcoran, who is now a certified weights and measures inspector. He's certified and he's new to our staff and has done such a tremendous job and went through 8 different courses with the state and now just has continuing education requirements for that. The continuing education requirements are in part fulfilled by our tech cred grant, which we have our first pay into the general fund for that this past week. In addition, as I heard you speaking about the transit, I was reminded about how when we did the molding with the Greenfield Water and Sewer District, And one of the things that was a little more difficult to obtain in a very quick period of time was the asset valuation. So if there was one record to begin on, it might be the asset valuation of the fleet. To begin that would be good even now, even though there's some time. I think that would be a helpful thing to do.
I appreciate that. Just so, and I know you and I touched on this, but one of the issues associated with that transfer will be a valuation of the facilities, particularly as it relates to continued use. And one of the possible scenarios is that value of that use becomes an in-kind local contribution to transit, and then results in perhaps additional funding for the operation of transit. So there is kind of a day one potential positive fiscal scenario, but as you say, we're on the front end of this, and I appreciate your thoughts there on getting asset valuations. We're certainly on that track. Don't have the data yet, but
Thinking about the title transfers and things like that. And as we think about the resolutions that are on for today, the Budget Commission resolution is on. And while that process now lacks pomp and circumstance, it certainly has a great deal of efficiency and cost savings. To appreciate the conclusion with the resolution. And Bart mentioned the deadline for the level 3. And as we think about that, I am deeply appreciative of ongoing analysis relating to a very sensitive topic such as pay. Perhaps because we do payroll, we get a lot of different comments about that, and I'm very much appreciative of ongoing evaluation of the merit scale in light of various increase in cost and other environmental factors.
yeah, our office is evaluating that, and of course, doing so with an eye towards the out years and the revenue and expense projections. Our most recent information on sales tax was a little disheartening. There may be some underlying reasons for that, perhaps a 5-week versus a 4-week scenario or something. But we're digging in on that information to see if there's anything beyond just concerning. And we'll continue to give all of those issues due thought. Thank you.
Brought along copies of the map of the month by the township, only because it got a lot of different positive feedback and thought others might have interest. Tomorrow at the State House, there's a press conference relating to the homestead program. And not attending that press conference, but I'm going to reach out to the individuals who participate in that program specifically so that they have the specific information that will affect them. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that I'm doing a fundraiser for Keller Market at my house in September. Also in September, I'm participating in the graduation ceremonies at the Marysville Prison.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us here today. Any other issue items anybody'd like to bring to the commission at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to our voting pattern. If you're able, join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any announcements?
There are none.
I don't know if you mentioned this number earlier, but in the spirit of announcements, I know you mentioned that today is the last day at 4 o'clock to RSVP to the state of the county. But what you may not have mentioned is that RSVPs are currently up to 207.
which is a fantastic number. I'm not recalling exactly the number last year. It might have been in the 230, 240 range.
36, I think.
236.
230, there you go, 236. So it seems like we're picking up some steam on that. Looking forward to that on August 22nd at 11 a.m.
Do you think there's any correlation between the uptick in people wanting to attend and the way we've redone could you put that back up? The invitation. Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, we changed the invitation. Commissioner Levacy's now front and center, and that's why there's an uptick. There it is.
That has to be.
Yes, yes. Nice contribution you made there to the meeting.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now continue. Oh, let's move on to the approval minutes for August 8, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Minutes passed 3-0. From the Commissioner's Office, Resolution 2023-8.15.a. A resolution accepting amounts and rates as determined by the Fairfield County Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
For Commissioners, I move items A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. The Fairfield County Auditor Payroll Division, Resolution 2023-8.15.e. A resolution authorizing a memo receipt for the general fund 2% administration fee for managing the county self-insurance program, fund number 5376 to general fund number 1001.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From the Fairfield County Clerk of Courts Title Division, Resolution 2023-8.15.f. A resolution approving an account-to-account transfer in a major object expense category.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Court of Common Pleas, Resolution 2023-8.15.g. A resolution to appropriate from unappropriated in a major expense category for Fund Number 2852, targeting community alternatives to prison grant to establish a budget for 2023.
Under Fairfield County Court of Common Pleas, I move items G and H.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Economic and Workforce Development, Resolution 2023-8.15.i. A resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding among Fairfield County, the City of Canal Winchester, the Fairfield County Transportation Improvement District, the Fairfield County Port Authority, and Violet Township concerning improvements to Basel Western Road.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Please call roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Family and Children First Council, Resolution 2023-8.15.j. A resolution approving an account-to-account transfer, Fund Number 7521.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
It's going to take me a little while to get used to the new heading.
No adult?
Further discussion? Please call roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Resolution 2023-8.15.k. A resolution to approve additional appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated into a major expense object category, Fund Number 2018, Public Assistance Fund.
Under Fairfield County Job and Family Services, I move items K, L, M, N, and O.
Second.
Discussion? Thank you and your team for your presentation today. We really look forward to those. Want that information. I want to do a little deeper dive on it, but I know you're struggling in some areas where it's difficult to get people to want to
do some of the jobs that need to be done. We're gonna dive in with you and see if there's a way that we can be helpful. I'm with you and being helpful about the results of your grant application there. Will. Hope that goes well. But in any event, I look forward to learning. Have all of us. Thank you all very much. You too, Heather. Further discussion.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah.
Motion passes 3-0. From the Fairfield County Regional Planning Commission, Resolution 2023-8.15.p, a resolution to establish a drainage maintenance district for the Estates at Lake Forest subdivision located in Violet Township.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah.
Motion passes 3-0. From the Fairfield County Sheriff, Resolution 2023-8.15.q, a resolution to approve the purchase of a vehicle from Hugh White Chevrolet for the Weights and Skills Deputy.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah.
Motion passes 3-0. On payment of bills, Resolution 2023-8.15.r, a resolution authorizing the approval of payment of invoices for departments that need Board of Commissioners approval.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. That's under payment of bills. It's not related at all, but I forgot to mention it earlier. Connie, I know I sent to you, and you probably shared it with Bart, preliminary look at MCJDC costs for 2024. I think that was $395. I wanted to mention the calendar on that. The next meeting of the MCJDC board will be in November, and it'll be in November when that number is actually finalized. I did inquire of MCJD staff what assumptions they might have used in the preparation of that preliminary budget number. And they did use 5 points on health insurance, and they did use 3.5 points on salary adjustments. So, I know those are, you looked at and I'll continue to think about both those numbers as we, slumber towards 2024 budget decisions. But I just wanted you to know that number is probably not going to be far off, but it might not end up being exact on that. Further discussion on the motion for payment of bills. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. The next regular meeting is scheduled for August 22nd at 9 a.m. at the Wigwam Event Center at 10190 Blacklick Eastern Road.
I just happen to think this, Resolution A actually deals with the Budget Commission. And I've received a couple comments from entities on how good the process is now. I think the changes were much needed, and I appreciate the auditor's office for moving this forward.
The other side. You're done.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The commission is adjourned, and we thank you all for coming.